Welcome to the Agenda on Dominion Broadcast Group. Here we are to delve into the polity of the Nigerian state as it concerns you. This morning, I'm Chike Obogu. On the agenda today, ahead of the 2027 general elections, at least 3 to 4 governors of the People's Democratic Party have been alleged to be defecting to the ruling All Progressives Congress and support the second-term push of President Bola Tinubu. This is in response to political rumblings in many northern states, which are threatening withdrawal of support for the incumbent president's re-elections. Our Governor Umo Eno of Akwa Ibom State last Friday at a public event confirmed support for President Tinubu, saying in his state there is no more party politics as they are all in a unity party of PDP and APC. However, Governor Sheriff Obovori of Delta State, Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State, and the suspended Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, are weighing options to support for Tinubu's second term, whilst not even changing or decamping from the opposition PDP. While Governor Eno's open support for Tinubu's re-election, according to the This Day newspaper, the entire machinery of the PDP in the state will be deployed for APC's victory and also to facilitate the return of the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, to the upper chamber as president in 2027. Discussing this with me this morning is my in-house analyst and also a development researcher there, John Izuchukwu. Good morning. It's good to have you once again on the agenda.
Good morning, Chike.
And
thank you for having me.
Happy Easter.
Same to you here.
I hope your weekend was eventful.
Oh, we thank God. At least we're alive.
Okay. We always pray to be alive in the country.
Very true.
All right. We have the issue of this insinuation of about 3-4 governors defecting to the ruling APC. Well, we'll break it down one after the other. I want to ask, the planned defection of or the realignment of more PDP governors, has it brightened APC and Tinubu's chances in the 2027 general elections, especially with threats in the north to withdraw their support?
Yeah, thank you once again for having me. You see, the issue of people crisscrossing from one party to another predate even independence. So it's not new, you know. It's not new. From 1951 when Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was stopped, you know, by some realignment from the NCNC to the AG. And of course, it went down into the First Republic, Second Republic, and even fast forward to 1999, a very classical case was Evans Iwurim, of course, who lost in his party, the All People's Party, and eventually defected to the PDP, where he eventually got a senatorial ticket and eventually became the Senate President at the time. So it is not new. It is about, of course, when you look at the current challenges in PDP, and it's looking like PDP is not going to survive it. And of course, you know, the political parties are vehicles into political offices. And so if PDP is not going to serve their interests, the chances are they are going to go to a more formidable party, and in this instance is the ruling party. And so it is overbearing for the North to, you know, suddenly turn around, you know, now, because it seems as if some of the policies of the government is not in their interest, which of course are still speculations. So I do not think that the North can withdraw from supporting Mr. President because they have their person, their candidate as the vice president of the country today. So all of what is happening is those who are disenchanted, those who are disgruntled, those who have not, who felt they were not properly, integrated into the Mr. President cabinet or government or, system. So they are showing off their anger and then trying to mobilize a section of the North. But of course, it is politics, and 227 is around the corner, and so it has to, a lot of power play must go on before 227.
Well,
so it is too early to,
to start permutating,
to start permutating whether Mr. President was going to return as
but the handwriting is on the wall already.
Most
of the political gladiators in Nigeria are planning to see if they could still retain their seats, especially those governors going for their second term. However, if you go through the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, Section 68, subsection 1, it talks about the defection of political parties. It says, Section 68, subsection 1G, being a person whose election to the House was sponsored by a political party, he becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which the House was elected, provided that his membership of the later political party is not as a result of a division in the political party, or which he was previously a member of a merger of two or more political parties or factions, by one of which he was previously sponsored. So the question now is this: if this happens, because it calls for the question of integrity, and then a rape of franchise, of electoral franchise by the people. And now, somebody was elected under a platform of a political party. If eventually it comes to another political party, what then happens to the votes? Is the vote for the people or for the party?
Now, you see, we need to be clear. Okay. There are precedents to these matters.
Are these precedents good?
Yeah, you see, the fact remains that for expediency's sake, they don't want their political career to get ruined by a party who is not putting its ass together. Do you understand? So you see the case of Rivers, which is the most recent one, when the 27 lawmakers defected to APC. It's on video, and eventually they were still brought back by the courts to retain their positions.
You see, that is a peculiar case in the sense that there was a verbal statement. Was the gavel hit before anything? If the gavel was hit, then yes, they would have been said to have been defected from the PDP to any other party. Okay. Now, have they obtained a membership card from any other political party? No.
Okay.
So, as far as they're concerned, they have not defected.
So, but the activities they're involved with, is it PDP activities?
Is former Governor Wike a member of the PDP?
No.
Is former Governor Wike a member of the PDP?
That's a different case.
No, it's still the same case.
It's a PDP member.
You can work for the opposition and still be a member of a party.
So they will be working for the opposition as members of the House of Assembly, and then they are not members of that party.
Someone put them there.
Now, these are the issues. See, we need to come of age in our political practice. It's not new to Nigerians, and to some of us who are keen follower of what's happening in the polity. It's not new that Mr. President wants or needs to get to be re-elected for the second term. But what we should be worried about is, with all of this going on, is it not too early for us to bring in politics? Because this is just 2 years and we have not seen any meaningful development that we, propel Nigerians to go in his direction the second term.
But this is not the first time. You find out that for a 4-year term, for a 4-year tenure of a single term, you find out that after 2 years, politicking begins.
That's not too good for our democracy.
You said last week that the kind of democracy we practice,
the variant is strange.
It's very strange. So this is one of those strange things.
Yeah, but you see, it's also the reason why this conversation must go on and on until we begin to get things right. Now, I believe personally that, this is my opinion, Mr. President and APC can't stand strong opposition. they do not have the capacity, the strength to stand strong opposition. So it is the reason why they are using every machinery within their disposal to weaken and in fact crush down all other oppositions. And again, that is not too good for our democracy, because you cannot always see things from the same perspective. There is need for divergence view, for us to have a holistic and robust stakeholders engagement towards development. So if you only see things from the prism of your party members, you may not be able to do so much. And I believe that Mr. President is weary. He's not, and the same thing happened in Lagos. Lagos was one-party system all along. So it's been so, even up to now, it is not too good. It's not too good. And you cannot also blame them, because we have to look at it from all angles. The PDP, the Labour Party, today are not formidable. They don't look like a vehicle that can convey you to your destination. So it's a challenge. And so you also do not want to waste money running for an election. At the end of the day, it is because of party internal wrangling here and there that makes you lose, not because you do not have the popularity or the people's votes.
Are we truly ripe for democracy?
Well, Chike, it's been said over and over that the worst democracy is better than any military rule.
No doubt. But are we ripe for it?
The challenge is that the guys who are managing the Nigerian democracy as of today have pedestaled their personal interests, ethnic interests, or regional interests above the Nigerian's dream, if there's anything called the Nigerian's dream.
Because the kind of democracy we practice today is defying all democratical norms.
No. That's true. But you see, we are the one who defines or determines the rule.
The kind of democracy
we practice as we speak. But you see, we cannot also say that we have not, democracy has not benefited us anyway. Because what we are doing here today, there was a time this convention cannot hold. The military will clamp down on this station and get us arrested. But today, there is a legal basis for which we can air our opinion, for which we can engage public issues and provide some perspective to it.
What then happens, like I asked earlier, when someone is elected under a platform and then leaves that platform and goes to another platform? What happens to the vote of the people? Now,
what you read clearly states the procedure for doing such.
Okay.
What they want to do, from what we have gathered, news, they are still all insinuation. They may not be able to defect or crisscross to APC, but they're going to provide the necessary infrastructure, the necessary machinery to ensure that Mr. President is re-elected. The reason is because, according to them, Mr. President is on the right path. This is not politics, it's governance. It's that Mr. President is doing what suits them, what they think is going to drive Nigeria to the path of prosperity eventually. And they have their opinion. They may have certain information that is not available to the public. But what we are saying as ordinary Nigerians is that when you look down on the policies of government, I've engaged a few persons who are part of this government, and when they say, oh, there are certain reform that is going on to give Nigeria very strong economic and robust, economic reform and all of that, and I say, this reform, don't they have name? Can we pin them down to something? Because you look at issues of Naira devaluation and see how it has benefited the ordinary Nigerians. You see how that your salary has, is almost made useless with the current state of the Naira. So you look at the issue of security. These are key indices that we should look at and say, are there reforms really going on here? You look at the issue of education, because no country will advance beyond the level of knowledge being produced in that country. It's an issue of research. So there are a lot of issues. When you say there are reforms going on, there's something the governors know that the average Nigerian is not aware of. And it will be good that they begin to make us know them, because more and more several platforms are engaging the Nigerian public. And there's this level of consciousness that is, growing, and before you know it, you may have, more electorate who are going to be demanding for answers to several questions that will be thrown at the government.
Let's get back to the discourse. Still looking at some of these governors who may likely be leaving the party. There's here we're looking at the governor of Akwa Ibom State. Could it be that Governor Eno will be agreeing to join the APC, maybe out of the fear that his re-election might be truncated, and wanted to secure his ticket ahead of 2027?
I don't think he may defect, because those are traditional PDP states. And even when it was a serious war last election, they still won those states.
Cross River was a traditional PDP state.
Do you understand?
Until it happened.
I think that there's some political alignment and realignment that will take place for Mr. President to win, so that Godswill Akpabio, our present Senate President, will be re-elected again. Do you understand? So, howbeit, he has a right to association, whether he wants to remain in PDP or in APC. Do you understand? But I think at this point in time, the opposition parties should wake up to the responsibility of posing, of standing, or working as opposition party, so that there can be some meaningful engagement. What we see today is a docile opposition party. They are not willing to put themselves together. And don't forget, the ruling party is not new. It's always been there. Obasanjo, infiltrated the AD. By 2003, AD was already crumbled. The only AD that was standing was Lagos. Obasanjo has taken over the Southwest. So, moving down to 2007 to 2011, we have seen how the ruling party can infiltrate parties who are going to constitute threat to their stay in power, and we have seen that again and again. It is not news that the ruling party has its men in all the parties, and these men are working so hard, so assiduously, to kill anything and everything that is going to work in that party. And you see the way Mr. Wike spoke the last day, spoke at the other time, very assertively, very, with facts as to the fact that PDP may not survive before, may not be alive to see 2027 election. And big wigs like Suswan, former governor of Benue State, has said most of them are checked out of PDP mentally. So, like I said the other time, it seems as if PDP is a carcass. What's remaining is an empty building. It's an empty building. Nobody's inside. It's an umbrella that is already torn. So it's a whole lot. It's a challenge.
Or maybe the umbrella still has a hood but no handle.
It's not too good for democracy.
Okay.
Because what you are going to see is you're going to enthrone dictatorship. One party system will enthrone dictatorship. It will, there will be flagrant abuse of power, abuse of human rights, and no, organ to be able to challenge. Because, it will, crisscross into other areas. And so we need a formidable opposition. We need a formidable opposition. Whatever they need to do, they should do that very quickly to put themselves together, so that they cannot begin to, demand. Sometimes when other Nigerian speaks, the government don't know, they don't care. But you can see, if PDP speaks, they immediately want to respond. If Labour Party speaks, because they are all looking for narratives that can shape the perspective, the mindset of Nigerians in their own favor. So we need such formidable, platform to be able to make, pronouncement, make, critique the government, progressively, so that we can have some, development, and of course, check the ruling party. All
right. Still on the Akwa Ibom State saga, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Udom, happens to be the benefactor of Governor Uno. Now, former Governor Emmanuel Udom has been under the watch of the EFCC. Is Governor Uno trying as much as possible to, defect and help get EFCC off the back of his benefactor?
Well, this
as we see in the Nigerian polity.
Yes, you see
we're looking at permutations.
No. I'm trying to, I'm also trying to be careful because there are things we know that we can't say in the public, particularly on the television, because of the ripple effect. And when you have a platform like this, I believe that we need to be constructive enough to also, support the building of Nigeria. Nationhood is a long project. It's a marathon project. It's not something that happens in one day. No doubt that, he may want to defend or protect his benefactor, which is what is logically right to do. You don't burn the hand that feeds you. But again, if we will also experience any form of progress in this democracy, we must be able to deal with those who are found wanting, particularly in the management of national or state resources. If he has nothing to hide, there's nothing to be afraid of. But if he has something to hide, it's unfortunate that even the anti-graft agency is, from ab initio, from the formation, it was formed to chase after political enemies. It has not lived up to his expectations.
Well, you're saying
no. That's what it is. It's in the public domain.
Yeah, but
I'm not the person to say that.
Sometimes we also see that when you commit a crime, and then when you defect to the ruling party, you become a saint.
That's the point. You see somebody like FFK defected to APC, and suddenly he came out to say, "Oh, he's been discharged and acquitted. The case against him, holds no ground, and it's over." And now he's been slated or pinned or fingered to be an ambassador, in the days to come. So those are the issues.
Senator Musili Obanikoro also has been discharged and acquitted.
It's the same thing. So that's why some of us, when we look at the formation of EFCC, ICPC, I believe Mr. President, then the Chief Judicial Compassion, established it to hunt political enemies. And today, they've not, stopped doing, going through that trajectory. So there's nothing wrong if EFCC goes after him. But if his hands are clean, it will be free eventually. But if his hands are not clean, it should be brought to book, because the commonwealth of the people should not be one person's property. It's not one person's money.
Okay, so we're getting this breaking news now. It's saying that Pope Francis has just passed on at the age of 88. We're just getting the breaking news now. The Vatican has disclosed that the Bishop of Rome, Pope Francis, has passed at the age of 88. He passed at exactly 7:35 a.m. That's 7:35 this morning. And Francis's death came just a day after he delighted the crowds of worshippers at the Vatican on Easter Sunday. Well, the breaking news there: Pope Francis has passed on at the age of 88. Well, back to our discussion, and looking at, we're leaving Akwa Ibom State now. Let's get to Delta State, where we have Governor Oborevwori there, who is lent to be also weighing his movement, is weighing his options on whether to remain in the PDP or back President Tinubu's re-election or quit the opposition at this time. But if you look at the trajectory of Rivers State and then of Delta State, and then you look at the battle of the heart of Delta, I know former vice presidential candidate to former vice president in the last election, that's a former governor Ifeanyi Okowa, is also trying to get his act right there in the state. And you have a former governor too, who seemed to be the political godfather in Delta State, James Onanefe Bori, who was also convicted in the UK but became a king in Nigeria. We have him there also battling for his own block of followers in Delta State. Now you have the president, the incumbent governor. Well, will he also make the move if you look at all the permutations on ground in Delta State?
Well, it's up to him. Now, if you follow the recent issues happening in Delta, even in APC in Delta, there's serious rancor. The Omagege faction is having issues. The Festus Keyamo faction are also, having some issues. But and
you also have the Ned Nwoko's faction too.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and people from that region, sometimes they can be very difficult. If crisis,
it could be heady.
If crisis breaks out. So I think they're also trying to manage it. But look at, I don't think the present governor may want to decamp from PDP to APC because it's not necessary. He may still win this election if he puts things that are necessary on ground. It's possible that he wins the election. But with the current state of the PDP, you can't really, depend on the PDP structure. The PDP is so divided. The PDP is in its lowest moment ever, and it seems there is no leadership to put things together, particularly with Wike at the center of everything, doing everything possible to shatter every effort. Look at the effort the the Governors Forum wanted to make in bringing things to light, in ensuring that there's some level of calm and peace, and then formidability will begin to come into the PDP. Wike said it's a charade because they are just a mere action group. They are not an organ of the party, and so they lack any legal backing to do such thing, to make any pronouncement as to who is going to be in any office or the other. So, meanwhile, Wike did that when he was governor. He mobilized the PDP governors to achieve the cause of the PDP at the time. But now he's out of that that frame. The others can't do it. So the PDP in all fronts is battered, and doesn't look like they are going to put their hearts together. Particularly because even the North feeling so disgruntled right now. And then when you look at the last release of appointment made by the president, you will see a whole lot of lopsidedness, and those are the issues. So we may not have a strong position at the end of the day, and what that may mean is that Mr. President will have a leeway to win this election without any serious resistance. Well,
we'll be moving to the last person here, and that's the suspended governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubara, where he's also weighing the options on whether to back Tinubu whilst retaining his membership of the PDP or defect to the APC. Yes, and also looking at where some people have said he wasn't even ready to go to court. The PDP governors went to court challenging the state of emergency in Rivers State. And then he said to have rejected the PDP's governor's resolution to challenge the state of emergency declared in his state in court due to the plan to reconcile with his political enemies and possibly defect to the APC. Is this school of thought the right school of thought? Is it a feasible school of thought?
It's very possible. Fubara has been intimidated. He's been harassed. What has happened to him is unprecedented. It's been the way it is right now. If he does not have the moral strength to resign, the only option available is to approach his godfather and then accept all the terms and conditions without any revocation. There is no other thing he can do, because if he still wants to be Rivers governor, if he wants to be reinstated as Rivers governor, there is nothing he can do than to go to his and then play by the rules handed down to him, or that will be handed down to him by Mr. Wike till the end of his tenure. And he is not guaranteed of second term.
Is that not political slavery? Is that not political intimidation?
Now, Wike, you see, that's why
political suppression.
That's why we say that our variant of democracy is not available anywhere. And I've always believed and said again and again that Mr. Fubara is a weak governor. You can't do that to Wike as a governor.
No, is
Wike would have crushed you.
Is he a weak governor or a weak politician?
He's both.
Okay.
The governor is the CEO of the state. You have the mercenaries at your disposal.
Okay.
You would have chased him out of Rivers State for long. Wike would not have the gut to come to Rivers State. If Wike was the person in his shoe, Fubara will never be able to come into Rivers.
The same way Wike did that to Amechi?
Exactly. So at this point, is in between two major challenges. There is nothing he can do than to accept. If he goes either way, it will hurt him. So he should just accept it and then move on. Unless if he wants to redeem his image and his masculinity by resigning and then moving on peacefully. I don't see him doing that. He can't do that.
Do you see Mr. President trying to use Fubara on one side and trying to use Wike on another side?
Wike is also playing his own game because Wike knows what he's doing. Both of them are, expert in this game. And I do not think that Mr. President will be so careless to allow Wike outsmart him. So we are hoping and waiting patiently to see how this is going to play out eventually in the coming days. Because this friendship, this unholy friendship between him and Wike, between Mr. President and Wike, will not continue. Wike has no history of keeping to promise. All those who brought him into power, from Ada George to Mrs. Patience to Jonathan himself to Amechi, he had, they had all
jettisoned all of them.
All the relationship he had with them today. And Wike can't stand betrayal. He will axe you down, which is what he has done to Wike, to Fubara. So is the case. So I do not think that what they have is, politicians know their relationship with you is cosmetic. It's about interest. Whenever interest is not aligning, they leave you and move on.
All right, we'll go on this break now, and when we come back, more talking points on the agenda. Stick around. Don't go away. All right, welcome back from that break. It's still the agenda on this dial, Dominion Brokers Group. All right, before we went on that break, news came in that the first Latin American pontiff, Pope Francis, passed on earlier this morning around 7:35 a.m. at the age of 88. John, at some point it was pneumonia. At some point there was a rumor that he had died, but he came back. He even preached on Easter Sunday, and this morning the Pope is gone.
Yes, we commiserate with the Catholic community and the Christian community at large. He had lived his life. He had led the Catholic community, and he had made some reforms, and of course some controversial ones at that. One thing that we must always know is that death is a leveler. All men will partake of it, and whatever you do as part of your contribution to shaping history will be there for the rest of us who are going to be around to see and to talk about. We wish them the best, and we hope that the succession plan to take over from him from this point will be in place, and it will not be like what we used to know, several litigations over the succession plan. We hope that the Christian community will, embrace this with a good faith, and then we'll move on from here.
All right, Pope Francis bids goodbye to the world. Well, death is a necessary end that will come when it will come. Well, from here, I say, may his soul find rest in the conclave of our illustrious ancestors. Back to the agenda. A newly emerged terror group known as the Mahmouda has killed more than 15 vigilante members and civilians in a deadly attack on Kemanji. That's a rural community in Kaima local government area of Kwara State, north central Nigeria. The group, which reportedly operates around the Kainji Lake National Park, spans part of Kwara and Niger states and has taken control of several communities, including Babana and Wawa districts in Borgu local government area of Niger State. Local sources disclosed that the militants, who claim allegiance to a jihadist ideology and speak mainly Hausa, have overrun the national park since their arrival 5 years ago, displacing security personnel and establishing a quasi-administrative system. The Mahmouda group is said to collect levies from farmers and herders. They impose religious restrictions, mount illegal roadblocks, regulate local disputes, and even coerce residents into forced labor. According to security insiders and locals, the group may be a breakaway faction of Boko Haram, potentially operating with knowledge of some authorities due to its access to sophisticated weaponry. Some reports also suggest the militants may have migrated from the Benin or Niger Republic. The surging militant activity in the area, locals say, has been exacerbated by ungoverned forest spaces and the collapse of state presence, allowing criminals, illegal lodgers, and extremists to thrive. Discussing this is still John Izuchukwu. John, another Maruda, another evil rearing up his ugly head in the Nigerian state, now the North Central. It is called the Mahmouda terror group. Their modus operandi seemed to be like that of the Boko Haram when they started. Is it that the security agents are not proactive enough? What is going on in the country? Yeah. Mr. President is not in the country at the moment. I think this needs to stop immediately.
Well, let's go back to, how these terror agents, terror organizations started in Nigeria. 2009, precisely July 26th, that was the first time it was declared that we are now, having challenge of terror, insurgency in Nigeria. And with all that happened and the extrajudicial killing of the then leader of the Boko Haram. Now, if you fast forward that to the series of events that's taken place, the bombing of the police headquarters in Abuja, the UN headquarters in Abuja, the UN office in Abuja, and the Mandela killing, 25th of December, 2009.
That's
11. So,
2011. I beg your pardon.
And then several others that's taken place.
That's the Christmas
now,
killing.
yes, you ask yourself, what have we done differently? If you recall, did then NS say to Jonathan, General Owueye Azazi, made certain assertions, which some of us believe was why he was eliminated the way he was eliminated. Because he said it clearly that the then ruling party and certain persons within the party and outside of government and even within the security agencies are sympathizers of these terror groups. And so our inability to deal holistically with the root causes and of course these insurgents have emboldened them to seek alliances with international terror groups who have religious coloration, and they have interest. Their interest is to take over our territorial sovereignty and recolonize us. So you ask yourself, don't we have a government? Because the Westphalia Order of 1648 will tell you that a state is defined by sovereignty and territoriality. No, so are you saying that you will relinquish certain part of a territory to non-state actors? You reach certain part of a territory to individuals who are acting undercover for certain persons. So why is it that it is always when somebody who is not from the north is in government, then you have different phases of insurgency coming up? And I do not think that you see, if you look at it.
But that notion, I won't be agreeing to that notion holistically, because even under the Buhari regime, there was insurgency.
No, you see,
even at his peak.
What happened under Buhari regime,
was a spillover?
No, not just a spillover.
Okay.
That this attitude that the government portrayed, that attitude was, we're supporting you.
Oh, that's what you saw.
And that was the attitude.
What you saw?
That was the attitude. The attitude was there was nothing done to nip on the board. There was nothing done. Just imagine when people were being killed in Benue, and the president will say, "Oh, IG, move from wherever you are, move to Benue," and they ignore the president as if who gave him the command was a subordinate. So there was no equivalent action by the then Buhari's government to match words being said. So it was like you take advantage of now that we are in power to do whatever you want to do. Do you understand? So that was the body language. But now, what we should be saying is, how do we solve this problem?
How does Mr. President nip this in the bud?
Yes, you see, if you ask me, I think this current president do not have the capacity to do so. You know the reason? This is my thinking. My thinking is that they know where these problems are. They know who are behind it. They know the persons who are making money from it. That they know what is responsible. But the political will to deal with those people, they cannot do, because they all have certain form of allegiances, at one point or the other. Because those were part of the things, as he was saying, that If we need to deal with this issue, we know how to deal with it. But of course, the person who is the commander-in-chief, his hands are tight. There are individuals who have been named. There are organizations today in this country who are INGOs, who are funders of terror. And it's not as if the people in government do not know them. They know them. There are religious leaders who have spoken boldly to endorse what the terror group are doing, and you have not done anything about it. So what you have done, you have provided a safe haven for them to keep emboldening them, and you will see more and more of them. So we have a country, and Nigeria is our country. We cannot watch a section of the country ruin our entire country. So there is need for a president who will bring people to book. It will cause uproar, but that's the only way out. Because as we speak, dialogue has been engaged, coercive measure has been engaged, and all manner of strategy have been involved. What the best you do is that you take them to school. You say they are repentant Boko Haram, people destroying people's life and properties.
We have to leave now. We have to leave now. Thank you, John Izuchukwu, for featuring on the agenda today. Tomorrow is another time, right?
Certainly.
All right. Thank you, dear listener, for being there. Thank you for joining us today. Tomorrow is another time on the agenda. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to listen to us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across all our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. It's at Dominion Broadcast. And on the app X, it's at Dominion Cast. My name is Chike Uwogu. Do have a great day, stay safe, and safe trip to Galilee.
I had no doubt in my mind that with this collection,